Okay, so I'm far from being the best Street Fighter player in the world.
That's an understatement. Even Tamaki can beat you in these games, for crying out loud.
Yes, I'll admit it. I'm really not great at those games. In fact, if you were to play against me, you'd most likely beat me. However, you can still enjoy a game franchise even if you're not particularly good at it. With the upcoming release of Ultra Street Fighter 4, which admittedly I do have mixed feelings about, but in any case, I thought it was time to talk about who my personal favourite characters to play as are in the Street Fighter franchise. So today I bring you KHF's top 10 Street Fighter characters. Truth be told, I'm actually a much bigger Tekken fan, but we'll get to my favourite characters in that franchise later. Now, let's keep in mind there are tons of Street Fighter characters, each with their own unique playstyle. Well, mostly at least. How many Ryu clones are there now? Anyway, there are plenty of different characters with their own unique playstyle, so as such every single player has their own way they like to play the game. By extension, everybody has their own characters they like to play as. Keeping that in mind, it's very likely that my list will be very different from yours, but that's okay. I am by no means saying that my list is the definitive list of Street Fighter characters, or that my list is more right than another's. These are just whom I personally have the most fun playing as. So with that being said, let's get on with this list. Okay, I'm gonna say this about my number 10. As a character, she annoys the heck out of me. But darn it, is she fun to play as. My number 10 is the young active ninja Ibuki. I just enjoy bouncing around the stages with Ibuki. I mean, throwing kunai from on high is such a satisfactory feeling. Hitting people with her neckbreaker move, especially the EX version where she does it 3 times in succession, is just so cool, and I can't get enough of doing that to people. But, like I said, as a character, she really annoys me. Man, what happened to ninjas in media? They used to be badasses, and now we've got characters like this boy-crazy ditz. Sorry, I find her dialogue and win quotes just so annoying. But the fact that she's so much fun to play as more than makes up for all of that. Alright, number 9 might take a bit of elaborating. When it comes to Yin and Yang, they pretty much play exactly the same. What's going to be the difference maker for you to decide which of them you prefer to play as is going to be their special and super moves. For me, the one whose special moves I enjoy the most would have to be Yang. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy playing as Yun as well, it's just that Yang's special moves feel more satisfactory to me and work better with the way I prefer to play the game. Besides, come on, how can you not love that awesome hairdo? It's just freaking amazing. But back on point, when I hit opponents with Yang's special and super moves, they just feel more satisfactory to me and really give me more of a feeling of, yeah, I got you now. Oh, and by the way, Capcom, you missed a great opportunity for a team composed of these two in Street Fighter Cross Tekken. I personally would have rather played as them than Poison and Hugo, but that's just me. Number 8 is the first lady of fighting games herself, Chun-Li. Now, most people would have probably put Chun-Li higher on their lists, but the reason she only gets to number 3 with me is purely because I personally don't find myself playing as her quite as often as I do with the rest of the characters on this list. However, when I do play as Chun-Li, I do have a great time doing so. Old Thunder Thighs is another character who's just so much fun to bounce around the stages with, striking your opponents so quickly before they even have a chance to realise what's hit them. Well, okay, not literally, but you get what I mean. Who doesn't love hitting your opponent multiple times with the spinning bird kick? Or just plain hitting them with a rapid flurry of kicks? It's just so much fun! I also find it amusing how she can go from being this behind-kicking, awesome cop during her fights, and then go to being all cutesy during some of her win poses. Come on, it brings a smile to your face, admit it! My number 7 is the villain turned anti-hero, Sagat. Now, I could go on about how Sagat's cool, how satisfying his moves are and whatnot, but let's be honest, The only reason anybody really plays as Sagat is to just troll their friends who are new to Street Fighter with a flurry of high and low tiger shots. Come on.
I remember you doing that to me when I first played against you.
Okay, I know there's more to Sagat than just that. What makes him so fun is that his moves control a lot of space. And I'm not just talking about the fact that he can shoot high and low tiger shots either. His tiger uppercut and his tiger knee crush are good for closing the gap between you and your opponent. After that, you can just go at them full force and show them why he is the king of Muay Thai. When used properly, Sagat can really keep your opponents on their toes. He will beat you down and make you feel like dirt once he does. Okay, my number 6 is one of the newest characters to the Street Fighter franchise, and somebody I've had an absolute blast playing as since she was introduced. You all know who I'm talking about. The Korean psychopath Juri. Juri is absolutely insane, but I think that's part of what makes her so fun to play as. It's just so easy to get caught up in the absolute pleasure she takes from hurting people.
I don't think she's a good influence on you.
All the while, she makes it a little bit sexual. She's like that evil, crazy woman in an action flick who will try and seduce the main protagonist into sleeping with her, only to try and kill him the next morning. Anyway, I just find it so much fun luring my opponent into attacking me, only to take to the air and then following it up with a series of kicks with Juri. All the while, she laughs as she continues to inflict pain on her opponents. Like I said before, Juri just makes it so fun inflicting pain on your opponents. She brings out the inner sadist in us all.
That's not a good thing!
Moving on to my number 5. Alright, this guy can hurt you. He will beat you down and make you like it. He is somebody who can inflict a lot of pain on his opponents. That guy is Makoto. While I will admit there is a bit of a learning curve with Makoto, once you get the hang of him, he is actually one of the most fun characters to play as in this whole franchise. He doesn't need to shoot fireballs out of his hands, or do some gravity-defying spinning kick move. He just uses his own two fists to give it the old 1-2 buckle my shoe. He doesn't require any super fancy form of martial arts training. He shows that you can handle yourself just fine with good old-fashioned karate. He is seriously one of the manliest characters in the whole Street Fighter franchise, and I had just a blast playing as him.
You do know that Makoto's a girl, right?
What?
Yeah, she's actually a girl.
What? You're kidding me, right? My perception of reality has just been thrown right out the window there. I don't believe it. You just blew my mind with that.
Maybe it would have been better if I hadn't told him.
Right. Well, let's move past that and move on to number 4. This slot, hands down, goes to the fallen hero himself, Cody. Once the brave hero of Final Fight, he's now become this smack-talking punk of a criminal. And someone who's just incredibly fun to play as. Cody isn't afraid to fight dirty. In fact, he prefers to. I mean, that much is obvious from the fact that you can pick up a knife when you're playing as him, or that he picks up and throws stones at people. He doesn't care anymore if some jerk's trying to take over the world. If you're in his way, he's just going to smash your face in. Although, that being said, in all of his endings, he does often show signs of his old self still being in there. But that doesn't often last long. Anyway, Cody's just awesome. It takes a special kind of guy to fight while wearing handcuffs the entire time. Oh, and he keeps those on purpose, just to give himself a handicap during the fight. What's that tell ya? I particularly like the Zonk Knuckle move they gave him in Super Street Fighter 4. I can't actually remember if he had that move in Street Fighter Alpha 3 or not. But, as you know, I'm the forgetful sort.
Don't make amnesia jokes.
But in any case, the reason I enjoy it so much is because it's just so darn fun hitting your opponents with a criminal upper, then waiting for them to recover and come at you, and then BOOM! Zonk Knuckle. It's just so cool. Number 3 is perhaps my favourite character to play as from Street Fighter 3. Ha 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 ha.
That's not nearly as funny as you think it is.
I'm talking about the British gentleman boxer, Dudley. Dudley is just awesome. I enjoy playing as him far more than I ever did Balrog. Come on, you can't tell me you don't enjoy luring people into attacking you and then hitting them with the cross counter. What I particularly like about that move is that even if your opponent deals you the finishing blow when you set it up, he'll still get in that last swing before he goes down. Yeah, it doesn't do any damage at that point, but it does give you the satisfaction of knowing that you got in one last punch. Oh, and who doesn't love pummeling your opponents with the machine gun blow? On top of all that, like I said, Dudley is a true gentleman. He always fights fair and always shows the utmost class in absolutely everything he does. It's nice to know that class isn't dead. Though, that being said, once he's beaten an opponent, he really rubs it in by letting them know they're gutter trash. Plus, hey, he drinks tea with his boxing gloves still on. That's pretty hardcore. If that wasn't enough, just look at that awesome moustache. Dudley is a real man's man. Alright, my number 2 may surprise you a little bit, but just hear me out. As I mentioned at the start, there are a lot of characters who pretty much play like Ryu. Out of all those characters, the one whom I enjoy playing the most as is Sakura. No, I'm not kidding. When I play a fighting game, I tend to favour speed over strength.
That's odd, considering the last couple of people on your list were powerhouses.
While Sakura may not be as strong as Ryu and Ken, she's a lot quicker, and that works better for me. While her Shoryuken might not be as powerful as the Shoryuken, I actually find it a lot more satisfying due to the way it continues to hit your opponent as she does it. Plus, I enjoy her cheerful and upbeat nature far more than Ryu's "I must continue to fight in order to become the most powerful fighter in the world" attitude. Plus, it's just great to be able to embarrass your opponents with the fact that they were beaten by a schoolgirl. Not just any kind of schoolgirl though, an upbeat, childlike stalker of a schoolgirl. You send your opponents home with their tails between their legs as they lament the fact that they were beaten by Ryu's stalker. Oh, and by the way, Capcom, here's another great team opportunity you missed with Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Okay, I know you've gone for the whole camaraderie thing between Sakura, Blanka and Dan, hence why Blanka was her official tag team partner in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, but I think it would have been just amazing if you had paired her up with Karen from Street Fighter Alpha 3. Just think about it. They would have made the perfect Street Fighter parallel to Tekken's Asuka and Lily. The rival cutscene practically writes itself. And hey, I'd love to see Karen make a return to the Street Fighter franchise anyway. I know she might not be on this list, but she's at the very least an honourable mention. But back on point, Sakura is just a lot of fun to play as, even if she's not quite as strong as the guy she tries to imitate. And finally, my all-time favourite Street Fighter. The character whom, if they're available, I will always choose to play as right away. The character whom I enjoy beating people down with the most. For me, that character is Cammy. I simply love playing as Cammy. She is just awesome. She's such a badass and so much fun to play as.
Right, we can all guess what the real reason is you love to play as her.
Please, Emma, I'm not that kind of guy. I genuinely do have a lot of fun playing as Cammy. She's another character who shows you don't need to be spamming projectiles or be a 7-foot guy with huge muscles in order to be a serious opponent. It's Cammy's speed and agility that makes her the perfect character for me to play as. Heck, she's the reason I'm at the very least a competent Street Fighter player now.
Competent? Tamaki can beat you at these games for crying out loud.
She controls a lot of space with her Spiral Arrow, Cannon Spike and Cannon Strike moves. Her Spin Knuckle move is good for dodging projectiles. Well, mostly. It's very easy to close the gap and start causing some serious damage with Cammy. Plus, she's a fellow Brit. That just makes her all the more awesome. Also, I can relate to her in a lot of ways. Having also lost my memory and being constantly haunted by my past.
Okay.
So yeah, whenever I play against anybody in a Street Fighter game, if Cammy's there, she's usually the character I'm going to go for. I may not be a spectacular player, but I can hold my own as Cammy. I also like that she's this awesome, strong-willed, independent, serious-minded mercenary, but she does have a soft side to her as well, especially towards cats. It's cute. Cammy's my kind of lady. Well, there you have it. My personal top 10 favourite Street Fighter characters. You probably didn't agree with most of this list, but that's alright. And hey, we all know that if I were a playable character in Street Fighter, I would be the most dominant character ever. I would make even a Kuma cower in fear.
No, if you were a Street Fighter character, you'd probably be even weaker than Dan Hibiki.
Alright, number 9 might take an... Alright, number 9 is going to... Alright, number 9 is going to take a little bit of it... Oh, and by the way, Capcom, you missed a great opportunity to make a team of... Number 8 is the first female of the... Old Thunder Thighs is another character who's just so much fun to bounce around the stage with and hit your opponent's... I also find it amusing how she can go from being this behind-kicking once the brave hero But in any case, the reason I enjoy it so much is because it's just so darn fun hitting your opponents with a criminal While Sakura may not be as fast as Ryu and Ken, she's a... I just said she may not be as fast as Ryu and Ken, didn't I? Oh my gosh. Oh, and by the way, Capcom, here's another opportunity you missed with Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Okay, I know you've come... Hence why Blanca was her... I also really like that she's this awesome, strong-willed, independent... something of a mercenary. Just because the people love you so much. Just say hello again, Lily. Say hello. So the people love you.